What is happening, everybody? Joseph coming your way. This is Final Fantasy IX Weapon Man. Okay, so now that we're outside of the Dragon's Gate, we're at the bottom part of the Limballoon Kingdom, as you can tell. And the first place I want to go is this little swamp right here. You can meet a new player. And there I am doing the stutter step strategy that speedrunners use. That will reduce encounters because in the overworld there is a threat level that goes up as you run, and if you can trick the game into thinking that you're not running when you stutter step the way I was doing. So yeah, that's a little strategy you can use to reduce enemy encounters. It's way more effective in the PS1 version than the PC version, but it works just as well in the PC version. This dude wants this thing wants a frog, so let's go ahead and catch that for him. Or her, or it, or whatever. There we go. And let's go ahead and give it the frog. And its name is Queena. Gender isn't known, so we're just gonna say it or they. That'll be the pronoun for this Queena character. And Queena is the blue mage of Final Fantasy IX. So Queena can eat enemies and learn blue magic from these enemies. Queena's weapon is the fork, and Queena's attack power is random when it attacks. So, yeah, it's not... I mean, Queena is not really going to be a useful player in this Weapon Man run. Maybe we could use Queena to tank some damage from enemies, but even that is a stretch. So, yeah. I will not be using Queena too much in this run at all. Because even compared to the other magic users, Queen is not really that helpful. So I will likely, when I grind, and there will be grinding in this episode, I'm going to have to gain a few levels. Not for what's ahead, but for what's even further ahead. I want to kind of level up, particularly Zidane, Vivi, and Freya, especially Freya. We need to level Freya quite a bit because we will not gain control of her for a while after this little segment of the game. So I do want Freya to gain a decent amount of levels. And yeah, and apparently Vivi's adoptive grandfather is from the same tribe as as Quale and Queena are. And its name is Quan. So, and apparently Quale doesn't really care for Quan. Yeah, so that's something there. It's a little plot device there. We'll figure out exactly the background between Quan and Quale later on. So this is the frog minigame. Now, Queena learns a blue magic spell called Frog Drop. Or Frog Stomp, one of those two. I think it's called Frog Drop. And Frog Drop does more damage. The more frogs you collect, the more damage Frog Drop will do. I'm not collecting frogs for that reason. I'm collecting frogs for the items. You can get some pretty damn good items here if you capture frogs. And then Quale gives you a prize for collecting a certain amount of frogs. So, and the way to, I guess, optimize the frogs that you can get, or to make sure that more frogs show up at the marshes, is to keep 3 of them around. And if you have a golden frog, as you see right there, golden frogs are both male and female, so they can produce and they can impregnate as well. So the strategy for the frogs is, because if you clear the marsh of all the frogs, it takes a much longer time, and time is elapsed through fights in this game, through battles. So it takes a lot more battles to... It's battles, and it's also plot events as well, is how time progresses in this game, in relative to frog reproduction in the marshes. So yeah, I will try to eat every enemy I come across on screen. If I don't, then whatever. The enemies you fight here are Gigantoads, which will teach you Frog Stomp or Frog Drop, and Axolotls, which will teach you Aqua Breath. Aqua Breath does very minimal water damage on all enemies, and is it useful in the beginning of the game? Not really. It's not really useful at all. I guess it's better than a physical attack from Quina, but whatever. Yeah. And like I said, because I'm not really going to be using Quina in this run, I'm not really going to worry about it surviving any fights. And I'm only going to demonstrate eating enemies exactly once, because I really don't need to worry about using Quina at all. What I do want to do here is put Freya in the front row, put her on point. Actually, I'm going to put Quina on point, because I do want Quina to be like a meat shield almost. I'm not going to give it any stuff, because I don't really care about its survival and fight, but that's all the same there. So yeah, so now we got good accessories. Give that glass buckle to Zidane, this way you can learn add status really quickly. I will eventually equip the butterfly sword, but I do want to learn the bandit skill from the mithril dagger. This bandit will increase the accuracy of steel, which is really good. That's good. Yeah, we'll give him that. That's fine. Leather plate will increase his defense a little bit. The coral ring is actually really good for Freya. It teaches Maneater, which I'm really going to want later on. Also teaches Insomnia, which is really good for protecting against sleep, obviously. And she comes with a linen cuirass, that's why I didn't buy another one for Steiner. I will want silver gloves for Undead Killer. We are going to be fighting some undeads. And the most important item she can equip is the Iron Helmet, which teaches her the very important level up passive ability. Why do I need the level up passive ability on Freya? Because Freya is not going to be used really at all until the third act. You use her during the first act a lot, but then in the second act you don't really use her at all. Yeah, I guess I can give him that. Let's see. And yeah, bandit, like I said, increases the accuracy of steel. It's really good. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Well, we'll give him antibody, because you do fight poison enemies here. I'm gonna try and get to this next area without a random encounter, but whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it if I don't. Nice. So this is Chocobos Forest. The Chocobo minigame in Final Fantasy IX is much better than it is in Final Fantasy VII. However, you do not get nearly as much good... You actually get way better stuff from the Chocobo minigame in Final Fantasy IX as well. In Final Fantasy VII, you have to raise Chocobos, and you gotta breed them, and hope that you get the right types and stuff like that, and then you can finally get a gold Chocobo. In Final Fantasy IX, you find things called Chocographs. When we'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about later on. But it's the Chocobo side quests in Final Fantasy IX revolve more more around finding stuff with your chocobo, finding treasures with the chocobo, which is way more fun than it is in Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VIII, I have no idea because I haven't played Final Fantasy VIII, so I don't even worry about that. Okay, so I'll actually slow the text here. Well, especially this. Let's accept that. Okay, so yeah, it's like the Moogle saying. Choco has the ability to seek out treasures, items hidden underground, and there are 3 levels where you can do this. This is the first of these 3 levels. You pay him $60 or 60 gil, and you get a minute to find stuff. It's a hot and cold game. So right out of the gate, I just found an item. And this is probably going to be a chocograph. Yeah, the stone pattern, that's definitely a chocograph. So if I find the next item here within 5 seconds, I get a 5-point bonus. So, yeah. And then if I find 4 items, you get a 10-second extension, and all the points get doubled, and they'll get doubled even after getting a 5-point bonus after being within 5 seconds. So, and there in the second level we go into, which is an ocean level. The items are very, very close to each other, so it's really easy to find them. Here it takes a little bit of effort. In the third level, it's even like worse. So yeah, so as you can see, I found 4 items, and so he's gonna put 10 more seconds on the clock, and I get a chance to find 4 more items. If I find 8 items, depending on how much time is left on the clock, I will get what's called a limit bonus, and you can get lots of points that way. Do I want to get points in this game for the Chocobo side quest? Absolutely, and you'll find out why after this game. And I already played ahead and did all the Chocobo grinding, as for lack of a better word. I did all that off screen, so I'm just gonna do what I can here. But yeah, if I were to have found a few more, 2 more, what's it called, treasures, then I would get a limit bonus, and I would get a lot more points than just the 32 that I just got, which is still pretty damn good, to be real honest. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's the Chocograph. So yeah, so okay. So if you have points, you can buy stuff. And sometime during the 3rd act, I'm going to want to buy a Robe of Lords. The Robe of Lords will make any magic user a powerhouse. You get a lot of protection, you get a lot of stats and stuff like that. It's really, really good. You can also use points to buy Phoenix Pinions, although you can find Phoenix Pinions pretty commonly when you do the Chocobo Hot and Cold minigame, so I'm not even going to worry about that. So yeah, we're good. Okay. Get back on the Chocobo, and I'm going to just go ahead and go back to the title screen and load my other save. If I do have it. Let's see if I have it. I should, but I'm not too sure. I definitely don't want to save over it, because that would really suck. Yeah, there it is. Okay, that last one there. So let's just go ahead and get to the title screen. I do like how you can do that in this PC remake. It's pretty nice. Don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about like soft resetting or whatever. Also has a cloud data too, so which is pretty nice. Alright. As you can see, I didn't do anything with my levels, didn't gain any levels or anything. Okay, so there are 9 chocographs you can get in the first level in the Chocobo Forest. You can't just find all 24. There are 24 chocographs. You can't find them all in one go. Of course, they're located in different chocobo hot and cold levels, so yeah. But we will be finding 2 of these today in this episode. The first one being here. And Chocograph treasures is pretty much exactly like chocobo hot and cold. You know, the chocobo will be more surprised as you dig. And here's why I wanted to get the Chocograph stuff, because you get excellent items, excellent pieces of armor, like just like that, good stuff there. So, and now we can get the Between Mountains one. And the Between Mountains one is tricky to find. It trips up a lot of people, but it's actually pretty easy. You just go over here. Up until a few years ago, actually, I was having some trouble finding that. So there you go. I'll put timestamps too about finding those. Okay, now I want to go to. I don't need to go to the swamp. I'll be okay. I don't need to go there. Just to give you a good example of how much Chocobo Hot and Cold have played. I'll give you a good view of how many points I got. So I got 400 some odd points for getting those 9 Chocographs. That's from playing probably, I'd say maybe 30 or 40 games of Chocobo Hot and Cold. So expect to spend about a half hour to an hour, depending on how good you are at Chocobo Hot and Cold. About how many, depending on how many times you can get the 4-item bonus activated. Since that does give you a minute and 10 seconds instead of a minute even. So, and he is at 15 beak level. The beak level just affects how fast Choco digs when he plays hot and cold, and how much damage it does, for lack of a better word, when he's trying to dig for items and stuff. So here is the gate that Tantalus was at. So this is part of the south gate. And Cinna left his mocha coffee there. And you can use this as a recovery point. It makes it pretty easy to grind for stuff here, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit of grinding here probably for the rest of this, just for about 12 or so minutes. Again, I want to put Queen in the front there, and I don't want Queen to really have anything equipped. I don't really care about that. I do want to try to learn as much stuff as I can here. I do want to get Alert, the Germanus boots that you got from the Streamside Chocograph. Gives you Germanus boots, which gives you Alert. Alert is really good because you don't get back attacked when you have Alert equipped as a passive ability, so it's really good. That, and I think we're good for on Zidane there. I do want added status for Vivi, because one of his he gets as you can see, I got that 40 steepled hats there. He does get a staff that will inflict slow as a status when he hits an enemy with it, which is going to be pretty damn useful later on in this run. So yeah, let me go ahead and get my passives equipped. Level up for Freya, absolutely need that. Dragon Killer, a lot of you do fight dragons types enemies around here. Man Eater is going to be for later, same with Undead Killer. And I guess I could just give her Bright Eyes, or Cover, I guess. Yeah, or not even. We'll give her Bright Eyes for now. Yeah, that'll work. Or Insomnia. Yeah, I'll give her Insomnia. Because I think there's enemies that do inflict Insomnia. I guess I'll give Queen of that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Bandit just in case, but I do want alert for sure. And yeah, I'll just get those in. Antibody is actually pretty useful because you do fight enemies who can inflict poison. Okay, so I'm going to spend the rest of this video grinding. If you don't want to watch me grind, then I'll see you in the next video. If you do want to watch me grind, then stick around. Probably not going to say much while I'm grinding, so. This is an Ironite. They have a lot of hit points. I mean, a lot. They got like 600 or like 800 some odd hit points. And they do this attack called Flame, which does a lot of damage to your players. I thought I was going to kill VV. Definitely going to keep your hit points up above 150. Gonna try and eat it with Quina just so I can demonstrate what it does. You need to get your enemies down to a quarter of their maximum hit points for eating an enemy to work. Most enemies can be eaten, even bosses, but a lot of them can't. If you already learned a blue magic spell that the enemy teaches, Quina will just say it tastes bad. But in that case, I learned Angel Snack, which will use a remedy on all 4 of your players. You, of course, need to have 4 remedies in your inventory for this to work. So, as you can see, I did get a decent amount of items from Chocobo Hot and Cold from playing all those games. I got a few pinions. Phoenix pinions are really interesting because you get a player in this game who can equip Phoenix pinions, and she can learn Phoenix as a summon from it. And the more pinions you have in your inventory, the higher the chance that the pinion will actually, or that the Phoenix will revive other players. These enemies' vices, they steal stuff. And you can usually just get the item back as you kill them, but they usually just steal, like, crap from them. They don't really steal anything important from you. They teach Vanish when you eat them. If I know what blue magic enemies teach, I will mention it, because if you're playing casually, it's actually pretty important. Blue magic in this game is actually quite good, especially in the, like, let's say back half of Act 3, where you fight a lot of enemies that have levels that are multiple of 5. And you do learn level 5 Death for Quina, and that can be extremely useful. It can be very, very useful, especially if you're new to this game. And those enemies in the back half of Disc 3 can be pretty difficult. Disc 3, Act 3. You know what I mean. Again, I'm not going to go too crazy with leveling here. At the end of Act 1, I'm going to place my level cap at an average of 20. Average level of 20. Freya may be a little bit more leveled than most, because I want Freya to have lots of XP, because she's not going to be around for most of Act 2. So, yeah. That means the other players are going to be significantly lower levels than Freya, which is fine, because I don't really need to worry about that. I mean, if Freya's at a decent enough level, she's going to be very useful to where she'll be doing most of the legwork when it comes to fighting enemies anyways. So, yeah. That is the plan. That's my plan for Freya. Big plans for her. Big plans. Big plans for her, because she's going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting in most of Act 1 and in some of Act 2. And then that's going to get passed to Zidane and Vivi. And yes, Vivi. Vivi's going to be a significant, like, fighting player, as you'll see. How's that going to happen, you ask? Well, you will find out probably in the next video. As you can see, there's the coral ring doing its work. Coral ring will make you absorb thunder, which is excellent because a lot of enemies in this game have thunder. A lot of them can use pretty devastating thunder attacks on your players, and it can be pretty annoying. I'm almost done with my grinding here. And it's like I said in previous videos, because I want to, hold myself to doing my Weapon Man challenge, I want to grind on screen. And admittedly, grinding in this game does not take too long, compared to the PS1 version where it does take a lot longer. Now these enemies, Serpians, they can, if you eat them, they will teach, I think, Mighty Guard, which inflicts Protect and Shell on all players, and it costs 64 MP. It's actually a pretty useful technique earlier on, especially in this first act here. But I'm a good enough player to not need it. But some players are not, so yeah. There. And it's like I said, I'm keeping Queen of Dead because I don't really need I don't need them yet. I won't be needing them at all, really. I mean, Queen's level is going to be extremely low throughout the game, throughout this Weapon Man run. I mean, if they had a reliable physical attack, or Chemist, or if they had the Chemist passive ability. The passive ability Chemist will double the effectiveness of potions and ethers. That's going to be extremely useful later on. It's going to be very useful, actually. They'll make high potions heal 900 hit points, which is going to be very, very useful. And it's unfortunate that Queen can't learn that. The only ones who can are Garnet and Steiner, I believe. No one else can learn, which is unfortunate. Zidane might get killed here. It's fine if he does, to be real honest. I want Frey to get most of the XPs from the enemies for sure. So. And again, if I'm playing this casually, I really don't need to worry about gaining all these levels. I can probably, when I got Excalibur 2, when playing this last year, my average level was like 5. When I got into Gizmo's Grotto, and at the end of Act 1, it was definitely. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so grinding is finished. Now let's go ahead and head over to the grotto, which is right next to the swamp. Okay, cool. So in the next episode of Final Fantasy IX Weapon Man, I will go into the grotto of Gizmaluk and get our way to Burmecia. Alright, that is it for this episode. Take care.